Welcome into Transparent Conversations powered by LG. I'm Taylor Rooks, and today's topic is Black Excellence, and I am so excited about the panel that will be speaking today. We've got Kenny Anderson, Jerry Stackhouse, and Michael Ashley. I'm so happy to be here. This is going to be an incredibly enlightening and important discussion. So welcome into LG Transparent Conversations, the traveling podcast series powered by LG Electronics USA that brings crucial conversations about student-athlete mental health directly to campuses and beyond. And this is actually first episode of season 2. Excited to be here in Vanderbilt, and we're fostering open and educational and intergenerational discussions to provide a place where you can find fresh and engaging perspectives, and we can all continue to destigmatize these conversations. We are also going to have time for questions as well when we conclude, and we can't wait to hear from you too. Tonight we're focusing on Black excellence for our topic, and we have a panel full of just that. So please give it up for our panelists real quick. We have the one and only Kenny Anderson, head coach of men's basketball at Fisk University and former NBA All-Star. We have Michael Ashley, Fisk Bulldogs basketball, number 13, and Jerry Stackhouse, head coach of men's basketball here at Vanderbilt and former two-time NBA All-Star. So a wealth of knowledge and experience up here, and we have so much to dive into. I want to begin with the topic of our panel, which is Black excellence. And I'll start with you here, Kenny. How do you define Black excellence? Yeah, I'm putting you in the hot seat.
Define it. Black excellence. Right now, I played basketball my whole life. All-American in Georgia Tech for 2 years, got drafted to the New Jersey Nets, played 14 years in the NBA, and now I'm giving back. I'm coaching at Fisk University, well-rounded HBCU school with tons of not only Black men I'm coaching, but women, the whole school. So it's just a blessing, and that's basically what it's all about for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so for you, Michael, I think a different generation than some of us, how do you define what Black excellence is?
Really what Coach said. These are both great athletes right here, came back and started coaching us, young men and women, back at our schools. And really attended Fisk University. All I really see is a bunch of Black excellence around the whole campus, because I know what the movement they did back during the 60s, during the civil rights movements with the sit-ins. And being a part of that just helps me feel like I'm a part of Black excellence myself.
Yeah, constantly being reminded of the past and the present and the future just on your campus.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, Jerry, you had a really great quote that I think sets the table for this conversation. When you were first hired, you said, "It's been a healthy pressure because I want to do well, not only for myself and my family, but I want to do well for a lot of young African-American coaches who want to be able to transition to the space that I'm in now." And I love that quote because you touched on something that I think is very interesting and also very specific to us. Explain to everyone what you meant there by the healthy pressure that comes with being a Black figure in sports.
Well, I feel that it's not pressure, I don't feel like there's, real pressure. The pressure is just within yourselves. It's not so much from the outside. I think that's what I call a healthy pressure. It's pressure from this group knowing that we want to excel, we want to do well. Because there's a lot of African Americans that's coming behind us that want these opportunities, and if we don't excel in these opportunities, we don't do well in these opportunities, then they won't get that chance. Because it's almost like a knock. Or you see, look at him, he didn't have success. Why don't we go in a different direction? So it's a huge charge to accept, but I gladly accept it, and and really. But you have to have the people around you to do it as well, understanding that you can't do it by yourself. And I've been fortunate enough to understand that it takes a village, especially when you're dealing with young men, you're dealing with young people. You need multiple voices, and I have great voices around me that when my voice is not there, it still echoes the same message and the same vision, and that's a big key.
Absolutely. And I see you nodding your head when he was describing that pressure. Yeah. How has that kind of shown itself in your life?
Pressure is what you make of it. I've been pressured all my life, growing up in New York City. Being the number one recruit out of high school, having a stroke 4 years ago, and overcoming it, becoming a head basketball coach at a black HBCU. So pressure is what you make of it. And, I keep getting up, keep going forward, and just trying to bless these young men that I'm coaching.
Absolutely. Jerry, you were talking about how your performance will always sort of be indicative of other people's performance that look like you, people that want to come up. Because it seems like a lot of the times individual black people are seen as the whole. If they do one bad thing, they feel like it's every single black person. Same, I think, on the flip side, if they do one good thing. But how can that feel, knowing that there is this microscope on you and your performance is actually about the performance of black people generally?
Well, I think it's a little different in this days and age. It's definitely, there's some, like I said, like a healthy pressure there, but it's nothing like, the Jackie Robinsons and the Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, the things that those guys do. Those were real pioneers that came through when, it was when you could discriminate against people and you could do it publicly, you could do it verbally, right in front of their faces. I mean, being discriminated against, going to hotels, and you had to enter through the back door and different things like that. We don't live with those type of pressures, but gladly so. But at the same time, we know that we still have to do well. I mean, and but again, it's not just for our own personal goals. It's for people behind us. It's for the kids that we're here to support. We want to see them. I think the true leadership is being able to kind of take yourself out of the equation and be able to give to someone else's dreams and someone else's goals, and that's I think that's what we do.
You talked a bit about the people around you and how it really is a village when you are, mentoring and leading student athletes. And something that is really important when it comes to mental health is the community that you keep around you. So I want to go into the past a little bit and have all of you tell me about either a black man or woman that as you were growing up really showed you what black excellence was and showed you that you can be what you are now. And I'll start with you, Michael.
I would say my Nana, Joan Madison. She is from Greenville, South Carolina, then moved to Jacksonville, Florida. I say her because growing up, she was part of the civil rights movement, and she became a part of this group called the Greenville 8. So there were a group of students with her and Jesse Jackson trying to go to a library, trying to study for a test. They were arrested because they went to a predominantly white library. And seeing her overcome those things and seeing how successful she is right now, it just showed me that I could do a lot of great things in this world.
The overcoming, that's black excellence, absolutely. What about for you? Who did you see, Kenny?
My mentor, Vincent Smith. That's Kenny Smith's older brother, works for TNT. And then Pierre Turner, who's a New York City retired judge. Those are the two people that raised me, through my neighborhood and gave back to the communities. And I saw that, and I'm doing it full-fledged.
Absolutely. What about that relationship resonated with you? What about who they were?
I knew who they were in my neighborhood, and they just took time out to rescue me. To rescue me from all the bad that was going on in my neighborhood, and they took care of me. So something I will always remember, and I love them.
Beautiful. What about for you?
I had a number of kind of mentors growing up, in our city. It was fortunate for my city. I mean, it's a small town. I grew up in a small town in North Carolina, rural North Carolina, probably 30,000 people, and we probably had maybe 12 to 15 NBA players that come from that city, and I think it's probably per capita one of the highest in ever. And I think it comes from just not so much the talent there, but it's nurturing that talent. I had those mentors that opened the gym, that came and did those things, that took us to different places, and showed us different things, showed us at the restaurant. I learned that which fork to use and different things. I did that on a basketball trip. That wasn't something I learned from etiquette. That was something I learned from my junior high basketball coach when we went to dinner. So I think those type of things. And he was a mega man. A lot of the guys that were mentors for me were in different fraternities, and because I spent so much time with him, and he always rocking his purple and gold. What I'm saying? I always had basketball, so I always had kind of a fraternity with that. But when he passed, that was one of the reasons that I decided to join Omega Psi Phi. Not that it's a great organization, and I'm glad to be a part of it, but I wanted to honor him. So it's just like things like that is a reason why, not always because you want to do something, and sometimes you do things for other people.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And when you look back on those moments of your life, how crucial was it to have those experiences, to know what was possible for you, to have people in your life that believed that you could be the person you became? How crucial was that?
It was really crucial for me. My brothers, again, I'm the youngest of 8 boys, and I saw all of them play different sports, and and as they were older, there was a big gap between them. My mom had her first child when she was 17, and she had me when she was at 45. So it's like, so there's a huge gap there. So a lot of my older brothers were like, they were real figures. They didn't get a chance to get all of the opportunities that my brothers that were closer to me did. And to see him go to college and have success playing at Florida State made me realize that it was real. I didn't see it in my other brothers do that. They played at local community colleges, but having my brother go to kind of a Power 5 university, graduate, was the first one to really graduate from a major university. That let me know that it was something that I could do, and it's something that I aspired to do.
Michael, as you hear them both talk about community, what does community look like to you in college? How do you maintain very, positive people around you now?
So I didn't go to Fisk University my whole 4 years, but when I transferred my first day, I was already amazed by how everyone came up to me, was asking questions, trying to get to know me and everything, saying, where you from, or do you want to go to the cab with me? Here's some of my friends, and getting into a couple of groups and organizations. And so, yeah, it's a whole bunch of welcome up there.
Yeah. So for all of you, and I can start with you here, Kenny, how did your personal athletic journey align with your mental health journey? Were you able to water both plants or no?
Wow. Well, I was, I had a rough growing up, in junior high school, and I went to Archbishop Malloy High School. That's what straightened me out a great deal. And my coach, Jack Curran, rest in peace, that's one of the reasons I'm coaching, because of him, just giving back. And, I just had it rough. And then I went on to Georgia Tech and so on. But I had it rough growing up in New York City. When I was in elementary school, that's when it turned. It turned for me. I had to take tests to get in Malloy and things of that nature. And I got in, and then I saw how it worked at Malloy's Catholic school, all boys school. So it was really strict on me, and I had to just zone in. So I had one thing in mind, and that was to take care of my mother. And to take care of my mother was to become a basketball player. So I had to do well in school and just work on my skills on the basketball court. So I zoned in on those two things, and I wanted to get my mother out of the ghetto where we was living, period. That was my goal, and I was able to do that at a young age. At 15, I was the number one player in the country. For 4 years straight, I was the number one player in the country. So that was there, high school. Then college, it was good. And then the pros, that's where I got a little shooken up, and I lost it a little bit. But I regathered myself and got it together. But it was just, I was just fortunate, to play basketball in the NBA, to make money, to take care of my family for 20 years. And then my mother passed away in 2006. And that's when I gave up the game of basketball. I didn't want to touch it, so I wanted to give back and coach. And I got the job at Fisk University. That was 4 years ago. And that was my goal. It didn't matter where I was coaching at, but I needed to coach to give back. And, I love Fisk. I love the kids there. And, I'm just giving back. It's not so much wins and losses, on the court, but just I would love, and that's what I'm trying to do, also become a life coach. So I had to do the basketball coaching. That's basically what I plan on doing, life coach.
Yeah. So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when you were growing up, there actually wasn't much movement for you to be concerned with just yourself, because you were concerned with a lot of other things. Is that accurate?
No, I was concerned with just getting out of the ghetto and taking care of my mother. That was that. That was it.
Yeah.
What could I do to take care? It was just me and my mother. And that's what I did. I went full blown, worked extremely hard in the classroom, and on the court. That was it. And then when I got into the NBA life, I changed a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's something I would want to take back, but how I carried myself and how I carried myself. Mm-hmm. And then I had to realize what was going on, and I was able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. What about for you, Jerry? How did your mental health journey align with your athletic journey?
Well, I think for me it was, I grew up. I was fortunate. I grew up with both parents. I assumed that every house on my street was like that, and it really wasn't like that. I was really fortunate to have both parents at home, and I had older parents. Like I said, when I was 10 years old, my mom was 55. When I was coming to school, she was coming to PTA meetings. People probably thought that was my grandmother, right? So I got and just from having older parents, they come through like Jim Crow. So I mean, they were a part of the sit-ins. They were part of all of those type of things. And my dad, he dropped out of school like in the 4th or 5th grade. I mean, at the 4th or 5th grade level. My mom, she, I think she finished probably 10th grade. And didn't graduate, but she was a Sunday school teacher. She's always kind of been a leader, and she taught. So it was, they really instilled in me that you're going to get an education. So it was like if you didn't make good grades, you didn't do things, you weren't going outside, you weren't able to do the things that you wanted to do. And they were extremely hard workers. They worked a lot of different jobs, and in actuality, we probably was living under the poverty level. My dad probably made $10,000-$11,000 a year. I thought we was rich because every time I needed a pair of sneakers, I got them. So mm-hmm. So I just think from that standpoint that I didn't have that where I was trying to do anything to get out of the ghetto. I felt like I was happy. I was a happy kid. I mean, family reunions in the summer was the best time in life for me. That and Christmas. So it was just so it was. I didn't know that my mama was spending her last dimes to putting stuff on layaway and all that. People don't even know what layaway is, but I know what layaway is, So it's like that was, but she did all those things to make sure that her kids had, happy holidays. And so I think from my mental standpoint, it was just the challenge of trying to not go too fast for me. I mean, when I was in the 8th grade, I couldn't wait to get into high school. When I was in high school, I couldn't wait to get to college. In college, I couldn't wait to get to the pros. So it was just kind of, when I got to the pros and you just start hitting some challenges, I still felt like everything that I've been through was going to help me kind of handle that next phase. And whenever I hit some tough times, we were a really big faith-based parent. My mom was a minister. She was a pastor. So, she's always instilled in us, church was big for us. I was in church every Sunday. So it's like, I had that faith, and I think that's probably what got me through. Those prayers and those things are what get me through. And I think that's even when people that are dealing with mental health, they didn't always have wellness and the different things that we have now. What those folk had, they would pray for you. They would pray for you, and somehow you found a way to come out of it. So I think that's still, with all these different tools and resources that we have at the university, Vanderbilt does a great job of having, resources for these kids, but still, I think the power of prayer is still huge. Mm-hmm. If you can tap into that, that's something that can really be beneficial.
Yeah. This is so great and interesting because this illustrates that everybody has a different experience. And even though we all have these different experiences, we're tied by these strings, even though your upbringing was different. There's this theme of it was always about moving forward in whatever way that happened and however way that you could. And for you, Michael, when you hear them say, mental health wasn't a thing that we talked about, probably wasn't even a word that we were saying. I know that's very different from your experience potentially growing up, because now mental health is something that's discussed so often. At what point did this idea of mental health, of taking care of you personally, really become clear to you?
It really happened this year.
Wow.
Because at the beginning of the semester, I got a concussion playing basketball. And usually I used to play through my injuries growing up, but hearing Coach give me some advice, he was like, just take it easy. And joining this group called FCA, No Person Left Behind at School, is our Christian Bible study we have every Thursday. It really changed my life and how I see things around the world.
That's great. And it's also really beautiful because that is still you talking about how your community has shown up for you. What is it like hearing him say that, your suggestion helped him?
Oh, that's great. I'm glad I'm able to give these young men that I'm coaching, some great information, and they taking it and they using it because, I'm taking information from them.
Yeah.
Even though, I'm 53 years old, I've been through it. But, you learn from everyone, and that's what I'm going through. Your happiness, what makes you happy individually. I'm always making my family happy, but what about me? So that's what I've been getting into also, and it's making me feel a lot better.
Amazing. Do you feel like you're getting close to those answers?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's hard. It's very hard because you've been that one to answer everybody and to care for everyone, and now you just you feel where's the love at for me, Everybody just wants something going on, and what about me? I need it. I'm coaching. I'm doing whatever. What's going on? So it's just different. It's good to be by yourself. That's what I'm on now. I'm on a lonely journey by myself, and I don't see it's lonely, but it's great for me. Instead of being with so many different people answering, I don't do that no more in my life. So, when I need comfort or information about a certain topic, I'll call somebody that's professional with it. I know those type of people. So I'll call and get them information on that and just, leave it that way. But just talking and, with all type of friends and I'm not doing that no more. I'm just not going to do it.
I heard you say, okay, well, now it's different.
Yeah.
What happened for you to know it needed to change? How did you know something had to switch for you?
I had a stroke about 4 years ago. I had a stroke, and I was done. Thank God, my dog Caleb, he rushed to my wife's door and got my daughter up. I was knocked out on the floor, one eye couldn't see, and he got me, and that's all I know. The ambulance came, took a shot, boom, and I was in the hospital for 2 months. So I was gone. I thought I was gone, and then one of the days that I woke up. I woke up.
Thank God for that.
Thank God. I thank God every day. I just woke up from what I was going through, and I'm here now, and I'm treasuring every day, and it changed my life, how I look at things and things of that nature. And then I had another one, a mild stroke. And I'm on my right side, I'm fine, but my memory goes a little bit. So it was just one of those things, life. It was a life-changing position for me. I don't even know what to say, but every time I talk about it, I get real emotional because my life, I came back to life. I was in the hospital done, and then I just woke up. So it's a blessing. So I always remember that, and I just try to, I love coaching my guys at Fisk. It gives me that oomph, gives me that lift. Every morning we practice at 5 in the morning to 8 in the morning, and I'm there at 4:15 every morning.
Yeah.
So it's been difficult. It's been difficult, but I've been able to to work it out. And just telling that story, I get a little emotional because I do remember that story. And Vanderbilt, the hospital over here at Vanderbilt, they take care of me. So it's been a blessing for me to overcome it, and it's a blessing, man. I just thank God for just me just walking. And I didn't get on there's people, Kenny Patterson, who played for DePaul, he had a stroke, and he's just not even walking correctly no more and all that. He can't even, it's a lot of people that have strokes that's done, and I'm able to, overcome it. So I just thank God, and I got to give back. I got to give back to these young men that I'm coaching, or young men in general. That's why I want to become a life coach. I plan on doing that.
Yeah. Well, we are all so happy that you're here. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. What is it like for you, Michael, to know that, the team that you're a part of is such a large part of your coach's purpose?
It's great. So we have a team really from everywhere. So Memphis, Philly, California, Massachusetts, and how Coach brings us all together is just amazing, really.
That's beautiful. For you, Jerry, like as you hear them talk about this, at what point did you recognize what mental health was? Was it something that you were always aware of? I know you said it wasn't something that was necessarily discussed, but even though there was not a name to it, did you understand the feeling? Or when did you start understanding what it meant?
Well, I mean, I think, like I said, I felt like I've had, people that have dealt with different issues, and it was always kind of looked at as a stigma, looked at as a disadvantage or a disability. And I think it's just not the case. I mean, there's people that can function totally. Maybe they need medicine or something. They figure out they need different things, but they can still cope and have, lead normal lives. And for me, it hit home personally. I mean, I don't shy away from these conversations because I had my first two kids. My oldest son, Jay, went to the University of North Carolina, graduated with flying colors, everything. My daughter went to Syracuse, just finished her MBA last week. My youngest went to North Carolina Central. After the first semester, had no grades. I mean, we just thought that he was always in his room, introvert. Then, it's like, I thought he was acting out. Like, I'm from the old school, what I'm saying? I'm ready to just tighten up on him a little bit, and then come to figure out that, it was something more going on. And fortunately for him, we were here at Vanderbilt. I mean, I thank God for Vanderbilt, not just because I'm coaching the men's basketball team, but because of that, we were here. We got the resources here at Vanderbilt Mental Health that it was able to diagnose him and figure out what was really going on. Right, and now he's on medicine. He's doing fine. But we may, if I was somewhere else, if I was still in the NBA, I may not have been able to figure that out, and then we could have had a negative ending to his story. But because I was here and because we were able to have these resources, we were able to figure things out. And it just shows like a normal kid. He didn't have anything different. He didn't eat anything different than his brothers and sisters. He didn't have any, they all had healthy lifestyles. Obviously, I played in the NBA. I was able to offer them anything that they wanted, and I gave them everything that they wanted that I didn't have. But, it happened. So it made me aware that, and I've had players that have dealt with the same thing, people try to hide it, and it's like, man, don't hide it. If you got something going on, let us know so we can make sure we give this kid all the resources that he needs to be successful, as opposed to feeling like there's some stigma. I don't want to tell the coach that he has ADHD, he has this, that, and the other. No, let's be open, and that's why I shared that story. So it puts the wall down to let us know how we can best help and address any issue that your child may have.
Absolutely, because mental health affects everybody. It does not discriminate, and it is not your fault. And I think that the more we can, like you said, destigmatize talking about it and what it means, the more it will help so many people. All of you up here up to this point have been incredibly open, and I know that for both of you, being open is a cornerstone of really your ethos and what you want to provide. What power have you found in that vulnerability? And I can start with you, Jerry.
Well, like I said, for me, it's just I feel like I'm helping somebody else that may be dealing with the same thing or feeling like, it's just it's certain people, certain families like that. I mean, it's just private. We don't want to have anything out there, and I just think that it's worth getting out there. You can help somebody else, and somebody else that has the same story or have that same issue at least could go get tested. I mean, I think that was the same case when it was, I used to be a real big proponent for diabetes and that cause, and because that ran prevalent in my family. My mom and dad both lived with it. I had sisters and brothers with it, but it's like, man, there's warning signs. Like you walk up and you're in the grocery store and you look up and you can't read the sign on the aisle. Maybe you need to go get checked and get tested. So I think there's always some warning signs out there, and I think me being able to be vulnerable can allow other people to kind of sniff out some of those warning signs that could help their family and that eventually helped mine. It didn't spiral out of control. I mean, it was actually like a schizophrenia type of disorder. And again, I took my son with me one day to to play golf, and he said he could feel the tee going in the ground. Right? Like, come on, like that's, it's real. These are real things that are happening to real kids and real people, and there's help, and that's why it's taking part in these type of panels and being able to share a little bit to hopefully help somebody else is why I'm here and why I'm doing it. It's not for anything else, but hopefully that it could, if it only just helped one person, then it was worth us sitting up here taking this time to do this.
Yeah, no, and it absolutely will. Michael, for you, are you comfortable with vulnerability? Are you working on it? Are you okay being open? Where are you at in that journey of openness?
Ever since me getting a girlfriend, I've been
That'll
working
do
on
it.
being open. Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you feel about it?
I feel real good because it helps me get out everything that you don't know that you need to get out.
Yeah, that's great. And so many of the things that we're talking about here become so compacted by being an athlete, by your identity, by so many things. And everyone up here has been a star in their respective sport since an incredibly young age. How has, pressure or expectations shaped the way that you view yourself? I'll start with you.
Pressure, it was nothing like that. I started my career basketball-wise at 12, 13 years old in New York City. So I was always that guy. And it never affected me, as far as playing basketball. Basketball is easy, life is hard. That's the slogan of my documentary. If you haven't seen it, so Mr. Chibbs, it's on Amazon.
It's great.
And it's on Peacock. So you should watch it. You'll get to understand me, all of me, and it's really true. And that's just basically what I'm all about.
Yeah.
Pressure basketball that's nothing. That's a game. That's something I love to do. But life has been so difficult for me. My life, it's out there. 2 divorces. It's my 3rd wife, 8 kids, 5 girls, 3 boys. Take care of all my kids. It's out there. So that's just how I've been my whole life, and it's helped me. It's helped me to get to where I'm at now, my life. So I just count my blessings, and it's a great thing.
Basketball is easy and life is hard. Yeah. I like that because sometimes, I interview a number of athletes, and a lot of the times the life and the basketball can get clouded. You feel like they're the same thing. You feel like being a basketball player is who you are. You feel like being a basketball player is your identity, that being this athlete is your life. You have seen the separation between the two. You now understand the separation between the two. Is that new? Did you always? And the same question for you as well, Jerry.
No, I took advantage, when I was playing in the lead. I took advantage of basketball, and then when I retired, I started understanding, how, people don't really care about you, in that world, they just care what they could get from you. So I had to understand that, and, I took it for what it's worth, and now I'm doing well with it. And by losing my mother, I changed my whole, perspective on life. I understand it now. Before it was just I was in one big party, and the NBA is one big party. But it's just life. And I don't want to talk too much about my documentary, but if you gotta watch it. I don't want to say too much. But go watch it.
I have seen it. It is an incredible documentary. I also absolutely recommend that you watch it. When we talk about that identity, Jerry, have you always had a strong sense of your identity, or was there, a learning curve in separating, what you do and who you are?
No, it's always kind of been who I am. For me, I think everything kind of prepared me. I paid attention. When I used to have like these groups that used to come around with the Players Association, because we missed out on a lot. Right? We became millionaires by the time we were 20 years old. Before I played basketball, I was a millionaire. I signed a deal with Fila for a shoe deal that if I never even stepped on the basketball court, I was good. So I felt like from that standpoint, we missed out on a lot. You know, I did go back and I finished college, but again, just a lot of those experiences and different things that you learn in college by just being with different peers. We missed some of that. So those groups that used to come in our players union and talk to us and give us little nuggets about life and about financial literacy and all those things. I paid attention to those things. I mean, again, it's like we have a lot of pride. You know, athletes have a lot of pride in general. But so sometimes it's not easy for us to tell you that I don't really know when I'm looking at a check where the routing number is, or I don't know where the account number is, you know. So, but again, our union, to give them credit for it, they had, you know, programs in place. They had platforms where you didn't have to be embarrassed. You could go in and you could learn those things. And so I just felt that from that, one of the counselors always told me, like, man, you guys right now, you can go into any Fortune 5 company because you're hot right now, you know, but at one point at the end of your career when you're not hot anymore, you're not going to be able, they're not going to take those calls. They're not going to take those meetings from you. So I took advantage of that. When I was playing, I planted that seed. I went to Turner in the summertime and I did internships even when I was at the height of my thing. And so once I got toward the end of my career, I had a job with NBA TV if I wanted to get into broadcasting. I did those things. I made sure that I planted those seeds. I took the NBA had a coaching program. I took that while I was playing. The NBA Players Association had a coaching program. I did that while I was playing. I did all these things. So when I got to the end of my career and if I wanted to go down the path of coaching, you know, it wasn't just, some people are going to say it anyway. They're just going to say that you just want to coach because you can't play anymore. No, I've been planting these seeds. I've been doing these things, preparing and making sure that while those doors were open, that I was going into them and not letting them be shut because I was at the end of my career. So I think I had a mind to kind of plan ahead. And I did that even from the business of basketball. Early on, we felt like we were going to make money the rest of our lives. But at probably midway through, I was like, man, let me learn more about the business of basketball. And then from that, I decided to join our board of the union. I was the first vice president for our union. So from that, I just learned a lot and saw a lot, understanding just how much power we have. And I didn't really understand that as a player, just running up and down the court, until I got into those meetings and got into those rooms is when I really had a better understanding and how I needed to share that with the next group that was coming behind me.
So observing, putting it into practice, but then also dispersing that information to others who need it as well.
Absolutely. That institutional knowledge, the NBA, they have it, right? It's there all the time. We're fungible assets. We move. Like, it's going to be, probably 10 years from now, there'll be a totally new 450 players in the NBA. Right,
yep.
So we don't have that knowledge that we continue to share and give back to each other. We just move on, and then we just hope that the next one get it. And I think that now we've kind of broken that cycle a little bit, and we're giving back and making sure that we have that institutional knowledge within the union to continue to grow the game from our side as well.
That's so great. All right, a few more, and then I'm going to open it up to questions. But you know, Michael, you are the youngest up here. None of us know what it's like to be a student athlete in 2023. So tell us, what are some challenges maybe face the modern student athlete? What are maybe things that you deal with now that these guys didn't?
Really now, just like how y'all known your identity. So growing up, I was always just the tall black kid that played sports. That's how I always used to look at myself. Even my freshman year and sophomore year in college, I went to a school in Boston. So I would think the exact same thing, and then I would be depressed. And then I didn't really find out what it really meant to be a student until 2 years ago when I went to Fisk University. So it used to be just basketball and other sports first, but now, well, when grades start coming out and then you not being eligible to play, that's where the student comes in. And now I know what I want to do with my career other than playing basketball overseas. So it's great now.
Mm-hmm. So asking yourself, who am I outside of this sport? Yeah. One of my really good friends, her name is Samantha. Something she always says is there's a difference between being a human being and a human doing. Yeah. And that so many times we are defining ourselves by the thing that we do, and it's being a human doing. And we don't think about, at our core, who are we? So it's really beautiful to hear that now you're learning a lot more about yourself outside of this sport that you are very good at, and I know that you absolutely love doing. For all of you, I know that obviously the topic for this panel is Black excellence, and I always like to discuss the many aspects that I love about myself that I attribute to my Blackness, whether it's my sense of humor or my strength or my versatility. So what are some of the things that you love about yourself that you attribute to our culture?
My sense of humor.
Yeah.
My sense of, I think my players know I can be really funny, sense of humor. And I think I'm a handsome young Black man. So.
Give it up for that, y'all.
No doubt.
My wife say I'm cocky with it, but that's just what I think I am. So I'm blessed. God blessed me with that. So, that's basically it. I just joke around a lot.
I love it. Sense of humor. I feel you. What about you, Michael?
Joyful person, open-hearted person. Yeah. I'm always smiling. Even if someone's having a bad day or even if I'm having a bad day, I'm always going to try to cheer everybody up.
Yeah, I love that. And that is very true. You always had a smile on your face down there. What about you, Jerry?
I'm a giver. I got it from my mother. Like I said, she just, I know I got it from her instead of my dad. My mom, she was always the giver. She was, like I said, she taught Sunday school, and, people that didn't have much, people light was off, she would make sure that they would get candles. If, somebody would, didn't have anything, they wanted to come and borrow a cup of sugar. You know what I'm saying? That was real in the hood. People wanted to come and borrow a cup of sugar, want a cup of flour. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, you're giving our sugar away. I want some. I was gonna make some Kool-Aid with that. You know what I'm saying? But that taught me. That it was people a lot less fortunate. But my dad was totally different now. He was like, they ain't gonna. Your mama can give away all hers. They ain't gonna get all mine. So. I didn't get so much of that. I just always gave a giving spirit and want to make sure that the people around me was happy. My brothers and sisters, when I made it to the NBA, we all made it. We had some success. Obviously you had to curve that a little bit because people can be people.
Yep.
But at the same time, I just holidays and stuff. I made sure that my family, were part of my success.
Yeah. Beautiful responses. Lastly, Jerry, I know you answered this, but this series with LG, Transparent Conversations, really has the goal of using words and fellowship to shine a light on voices that need to be heard as well as discussions that need to be had. And we absolutely accomplished that today. But for you two, why was this conversation important for you? And what do you want people to leave it with?
Oh, wow. Just, everything in my life that happened occurred, I would love for them to understand and use it for their fuel so they can better themselves in life. That's basically why I'm so open and able to speak the truth and tell the young men that I'm coaching or the young women on campus that hey, I dealt with that, I understand. And, give them someone that could talk to and listen and give them advice. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about for me.
Definitely. Michael, what do you want people to leave this with?
I would say don't be afraid to open up to anybody because you never know who will be there to be in an open hand and everything.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of LG Transparent Conversations. For more episodes and to catch up on season 1, check out LG Transparent Conversations on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or at lg.com/US/transparent-conversations. LG, life's good.